They called them the KK-11, named after the founding president of Zambia, Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda, a golden generation carrying the hopes of a country battered by poverty but lifted by football. In this episode, we are going to explore in grave detail the last days leading to the crush of the Zambia national team that perished in Gabon on April 27, 1993. 24th April 1993, the Zambian national soccer team players were driven to Twin Palm Air Force Base, just opposite KK International Airport, to depart for a qualifying match in Mauritius. The plane they would use is the DHC Buffalo aircraft, a military plane to cover roughly a distance of 8,832 kilometers from Zambia to Mauritius, Mauritius to Dakar, Senegal. When Zambia's domestic-based players turned up to the airfield outside the capital city Lusaka to board, Patrick Kangwa, a member of the national team selection committee, met them. He told 21-year-old midfielder Andrew Tembo and third-choice goalkeeper Martin Mumba that they wouldn't need to travel. They were dropped from the squad. Pride was hurt and hot words exchanged on the tarmac. It was a standard selection decision, but on this day it decided who would live and who would die. The flight itinerary was as follows. On April 26, 1993, the Zambian national football team departed Lusaka, Zambia, headed for Port Louis, Mauritius, a distance of approximately 3,135 kilometers. After completing their match in Mauritius, the team flew back to Lilongwe, Malawi, for a scheduled refueling stop. Airplane distance, approximately 2,350 kilometers. From Lilongwe, their flight plan took them northwest to Brazzaville, Republic of Congo, another technical stop before heading to West Africa. Distance to be covered was approximately 2,300 kilometers. The next leg was to Libreville, Gabon, where they arrived safely for overnight refueling, a distance of 1,200 kilometers. From Libreville, the plan was to continue to Abidjan, Ivory Coast, distance, approximately 1,600 kilometers. And finally on to Dakar, Senegal, the site of their 1994 World Cup qualifying match against Senegal. Airplane distance, approximately 1,800 kilometers. Total planned travel distance was 12,385 kilometers. An extremely lengthy trip for a plane that was designed for short military drop-offs. If you believe stories like this should never be forgotten, hit subscribe. April 27, 1993. A Zambian Air Force DHC-5 Buffalo aircraft stands proud on the tarmac. From the left propeller to the right, it looks sturdy, resilient, like the team it carries. Inside, laughter echoes. The KK-11 boys are in high spirits. Dreams of qualifying for the 1994 World Cup fill the cabin. As the cargo door shuts behind them, none imagine it will be the last time they ever set foot on Zambian soil. The plane roars to life and lifts off from Lusaka's ZAF base, but not all is as it seems. The aircraft they ride had been grounded for 5 months prior, neglected, lacking proper service. Mechanics raised concerns. Warnings were whispered, but the team had to fly. There was no other way. Back home, Zambia was struggling. The Chiluba government faced mounting pressure. Economic reforms had crippled the poor. Civil unrest was growing, yet this football team, these young heroes, had become the nation's only source of hope. They flew not just to play, but to lift a country from its knees. Their final game, a triumphant 3-0 win over Mauritius, was front-page news. The dream felt alive. From Port Louis, the Buffalo continued westward, cutting through ocean skies toward Madagascar. But trouble met them midair. A tower denied them landing clearance. Forced to divert again, the Buffalo changed course, flying toward Malawi, chasing a safe harbor in uncertain skies. They landed at Chilaka International Airport. But instead of refueling and regrouping, they were surrounded. Armed soldiers blocked the exits. The team was barred from disembarking. No refreshments, no rest. Just waiting stuck inside a military aircraft. Inside the cabin, silence took over. The high spirits were gone. Some tried to sleep, others stared into nothing, unaware they were still flying toward fate. From the skies above Malawi, the Buffalo pressed on with worn engines and worn spirits, yet still determined. They soared across the vast belly of Africa, over Zambia's copper belt, across the equator into Congo's humid skies. This was no ordinary flight. The aircraft had been out of service for 5 months, a military transport never built for comfort, let alone safety. And yet it carried Zambia's golden generation, talented, hopeful, carrying a nation's dreams on their backs. They had come this far across 4 nations, on a plane long overdue for rest. Now above the coast of Gabon, the left engine burst into flames. Smoke trailed behind them like a warning written in the sky. Inside, silence gripped the cabin. Then the right engine failed too. Power gone, altitude dropping. The Buffalo began its final descent. From heroes in motion to free fall no one could stop. In a storm of panic, the pilot reached for hope but pulled the wrong lever. A fatal mistake. The only surviving engine was shut down, and with it, the last chance at life. When the news broke, it didn't feel real. A nation froze, and then it wept. For mothers, brothers, sisters, every home felt the loss as if it were their own. Patrick Kangwa, the person responsible for their selection, was now responsible for identifying the bodies in Gabon. One by one, the coffins arrived back home. 30 lives lost, each draped in the national flag, each carried with honor but followed by heartbreak. The heroes who once soared in the skies now returned in silence, escorted by soldiers, guarded like the treasures they were. At National Heroes Stadium, there was no room for politics or pain, only unity. President Frederick Chiluba led the nation in prayer. Even he, a man trusted with guiding Zambia, bowed not as a leader, but as a father mourning his sons. The stadium overflowed with thousands, men, women, children, packed together in disbelief. The same voices that once cheered the team now sang in sorrow. There was no playbook for this, no match to win, no goal to chase, just a country learning how to grieve. They came not just to say goodbye, but to promise, you will never be forgotten. These weren't just athletes. They were Zambia's pride, our symbols of hope, unity, and courage. 19 years later, on the very soil where they fell, fate returned the favor. Zambia were crowned kings of Africa.
In a plane crash. It's in! Tucked away by Stopper Zunzu, and Zambia are champions of Africa. Destiny has smiled on Zambia. 19 years on, that the scene of their greatest tragedy has become the scene of their most wonderful success.